Good morning, everybody. I'm not Fuzzy, I'm Martijn. This is me. Who of you was here yesterday? Yesterday I did an amazing talk back there and the wall literally came tumbling down. So please behave yourselves today, because we cannot have that with those walls, because then everything will collapse. And I think collapse is a great theme for today. Because, as I understood from the media, there's a big job summit going on. Actually, the people up there are in the wrong room, because they should be here. If you really want to discuss the future of work, you should be here and not somewhere else. But before I will elaborate on that, I want to thank you for showing up here this early, who have been more than 1 hour in the traffic today. Kudos for you. Before I'm going to explain the rest, I have to explain that there is a hierarchy in opinions. Otherwise we can't continue with the story. Because if you understand the hierarchy of opinions, life would be so much easier. So, on the ground level, in a hierarchy of opinions, we have the assumption. And everybody knows assumption. If you want to change an assumption, you just feed a little bit of more information, and boom, we're fine. We just change the assumption. Oh, I thought it was this. Oh, it's that. That's fine. But the second layer in a hierarchy of opinions is the opinion itself. And that's a big problem. Because there are so many opinions, and so many different opinions. So if you want to change somebody's opinion, that's a lot of work. You need charisma, good arguments, persistence. Maybe you have to manipulate, that's okay. And maybe then you can change somebody's opinion. But on the next level, we have something far more difficult. It's the belief. Somebody's belief is an opinion with emotions stick to it. Because everything that you experienced in your life, everything that happened. So if you want to change somebody's opinion or belief, if you want to change somebody's belief, you're in trouble. It's very dangerous. So people get upset, they stop listening. But there's an absolute top dog in the hierarchy of opinions. And that's the paradigm. That's a belief that is so true to so many people. If you even start to think about changing that, you're in trouble. 100 years ago, there was a guy, and he said to everybody, I really don't think that the sun is going around the earth, but it's the other way around. This guy was named Galileo Galilei, and everybody said, duh, come on, look at this. So, a paradigm is a belief that is so deeply integrated in your system that even speaking about it, the fact that it could be different, is unnegotiable. And today, we are entering a world where not just 1 or 2 paradigms are changing right under our nose, but at least 5 or 6 or 7 of them. And they all concern the future of work. 20 years ago, I read a lot of articles on the biggest war in the world of doing business and organizations. And that is the war on talent. How are you going to find the best talents that there are? And how can you get them to join your mission, whatever you're doing? For the past 1.5 years, every hour, for the past 1.5 years, 27,000 people worldwide signed up to join the internet. So in the last 1.5 years, we had 1.4 billion people connected to the web. Most of those people are new on the block. Young people, nothing to lose. They don't care about diplomas. They don't care about traditional careers. They care about unlocking their true potential. And they don't know how it is to work in an organization. They don't have the money to spend on big courses or diplomas. And actually they don't need it. They have all the means they need to change everything they want to change. So they are changing the world of work as it is nowadays. Who of you is using WhatsApp? Very logic, because we all believe it's free. It's not free, the bill comes later because you just lost your privacy to Facebook, but that's another discussion. Years ago, there was this 23-year-old kid from the Ukraine. He had nothing to lose, John Kuhn. And all the big telecom companies were making lots of money, Vodacom, all the other ones, by making a lot of money on text messaging. And there was this one guy who thought, I can fix that. And he trained himself to program and created a little app called WhatsApp. And the rest is history. So he got rid of billions worth of turnover of big telecom companies with one single app. Can you imagine how the nearby future for organizations will look like when one of those 1.4 billion people on the planet that just joined the internet are trying to figure out how to do something better, cheaper, faster, more nicely than all the big organizations? So we have to rethink work, we have to rethink organizations, and we have to rethink life. Who of you is spending more than 3 hours a day on a computer? Okay, so that makes you knowledge workers. And most of the knowledge workers on Earth are using the computer as a modern typewriter. We don't invest time in digital skills. We still work with old-fashioned, slow, boring legacy systems. All the new people that are trying to compete with all your organizations, they don't care about Microsoft products. They don't care about SAP. They don't care about a lot of stuff because they're just going to figure out how can I fix this with all the means and other tools that I have. And they make a lot of mistakes. Because the fastest way to learn something is to make mistakes. And making mistakes is not something that is really promoted in traditional organizations. So actually, if you think about that, you just don't learn fast enough. The future of work and the truth to how to unlock your true potential is nothing more than your ability to learn faster than others. Not in a competitive way, but if you can learn and teach yourself how to learn. So how to learn faster, you will, if you're able to compete with other companies. And I don't really believe in competition. But every day you should try to be a better version of yourself. Don't compare it with others. And I don't know how many of you are really truly engaged in unlocking your true potential by reading books every day, investing time in your digital skills. Because the most valuable stuff you have is of course your health, and then your dear friends and relatives, and your family. But then there's your time. Your time is the third most important thing that you have. And we're wasting so much time on boring meetings, trying to get budget for a plan that we actually don't need budget for, being in a traffic jam, talking to people who don't want to change anything. And you have to stop to use the word change. I'd never want to hear the word change again from the mouth of a manager, of somebody in HR. I don't believe in change programs. I don't believe in change management because people don't like change. From an evolutionary perspective, we are trained to do things by routine. And why? From a biochemical perspective, we have to be very, very careful how to deal with the scarce energy that we have. So your brain is trained, hardwired, to be very efficient when it comes to dealing with energy. And guess what? Every time that you do things by routine, it takes 8 times less energy than when you do something that is forced to you because somebody says how you should do your work, and then you get stress and burnout. Not a good idea, because then you finally got talents in your organization and you scare them away, and because they have burnout, because you're interfering with how they can do their work at best. So we don't like change. I'm half autistic, and that has a lot of benefits. I don't like change. Who of you really love change? There's proof. So we don't like change, but we are able to be seduced by something new, something interesting, and somehow, slowly but surely, you move from text messaging to WhatsApp, because it was a good idea after all. So every time you want to move something in your organization, to solve a problem, to create an opportunity, or going after mission impossible because you're doing something with a purpose that benefits for the whole society, never use the word change. Try to seduce the people to do the best they can and give them all the space and room to fix things. And constrain all the budgets that you have. Stop using money to set things in motion. It's the worst incentive that you can use to set things in motion. 15 years ago, this would be a ridiculous story. But who of you is using the Wikipedia every now and then? Yeah, so 4 or 5 billion on the planet can use the Wikipedia. Wikipedia is social swarm technology. Hundreds, thousands of people are joining, not from an economic incentive, but they want to contribute, and they created the biggest encyclopedia on earth. Guess what? The people who could afford the Encyclopedia Britannica back then only looked things up a few times a year, because most of the times they wanted to look up something, they weren't on the same place as where the books were. And now suddenly this swarm of individuals created something that made the old economic paradigm of the encyclopedia completely obsolete, enabling billions of people on the planet to use this information to build something, to create something that others can benefit from, not only from an economical perspective. One more thing, especially here on an HR Indaba. In my experience, across the world, HR people are the people in organizations who are more into people and social things than accountants. They're here, a few layers up. So normally, from a logic perspective, those people are more into people than into technology. And here's something going wrong. HR is about human resources. And I think if you really want to leverage the things that you can do with all those human resources, you have to think and rethink what's the best thing you can do with those resources. Who of you here in the audience is more productive and creative at 8 o'clock in the evening compared with 9 o'clock in the morning? So who is more productive in the evening? Yeah, normally it's 1/3. So you guys are in charge of human resources. Traditionally, humans are the most, of the highest cost in any organization. So if you think about deploying those resources in a logic way, we are using 1/3 of our highest cost in a not so effective way, because we're spending so much money on people that are more productive in the evening. What on earth are they doing in the morning? They cause the traffic jams. If you take 1/3 of all the cars out of the traffic jams, there are no traffic jams. So this is what I mean by changing the paradigm. We don't know what knowledge work actually is, how to do it, and how to organize it. But let me tell you one thing. If you leave technology out of the equation, you're in big, big trouble. I read the newspapers for the past days, and they're talking about labor, creating jobs, economic growth, stuff like that. And they talk about agriculture. But if you leave technology out of the equation, you're fucked. If you look up an agricultural robot, you see something really beautiful. I saw a movie last week. A little bit of robot car, a solar panel on the roof, big wheels, and cameras. And what this thing could do is drive independently using the energy from the sun through the field. And the cameras are high-speed cameras with a deep learning, machine learning, image recognition set, knew what were crops and what was weed. And it had 2 little rotors destroying the weeds. And every meter it continues, the cameras and the system would be smarter. Those machines are like $30,000 right now. But within a few years, they will be a few $100s, affordable for everyone. They can weed all day. They become smarter. So what on earth do we have to do with the people who were suspected to work on the land? We can do better on a mankind level. So this is where technology comes in. Technology always promised us to help us to make work better, lighter, cheaper, easier. And now we're on the verge of the moment that that will happen, and then everybody starts to complain. So I think we have to figure out what actually are the needs that we need to fulfill and how we can get it in the hands of people. But now we try to give people a job, they make money and they spend it on stuff they actually don't need anymore. So from the perspectives of digitization, just think about this. The poorest people in South Africa with access to a smartphone, and there will be more and more, have access to the equivalent of $900,000 worth of stuff if you would have to purchase it 15 years ago. So the poorest people on the planet are getting their hands on technology that we couldn't even afford 15 years ago. And they're using it to entertain themselves, to connect with each other, to create, to fix things. A lot of idiots have no idea what to do with it, but it only takes a few smart people to come up with a solution that the rest didn't think of, because that's the pattern from a mankind level for the past hundreds of years. So if you want to work with people, please figure out how to do it better. Don't neglect your digital skills. Read more books. Explain others that they have to write. Buy books for them. I mean, you have the budgets. Don't make people show up in the morning when they're more productive in the evening. And never, ever leave out technology in the equation, because technology will help us fix all the unfixable stuff. So please, people, please, HR people, don't neglect technology. It will make the world of work better, faster, cheaper, more nice, and everybody will prosper. I wish you a very nice day, a very great Indaba. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening here, and I will be there in boardroom 3 at the end of the afternoon to discuss anything that you want to discuss. Thank you so much for showing up, and see you later. Thank you.